everyone, what's up and welcome to a new stream. I have to smile because I was just reading a very interesting conversation on Twitter. We might have time to talk about that in a second. It's touching Expo, so it's kind of on topic for today. Thanks for tuning in. We're doing, well, not something different. We kind of had like a news flash stream last week. So this week's news flash stream is about Expo. It's about React Native and the latest Expo SDK 49. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to show you what's new, how it looks in reality, and how it works, and how it feels, and why the changes of Expo SDK 49 are actually pretty epic, because included in Expo SDK 49 is also the Expo Router version 2. And I did quite a few videos already where I used the Expo Router. I feel like there's not a whole lot on YouTube yet because it's so fresh and most people are still using the underlying React navigation package. But it's actually a pretty epic router, and we're gonna get into a few things that are new with the router as well, and overall with Expo SDK 49. Before we do that, let's quickly check who's already in the stream, who's joining today. I expect we won't have that many, not 50 people like last week probably, although it's React Native. If you're a React Native developer, and I know there are more React Native developers on this planet than there are Ionic developers, it's just a numbers game, then you should definitely tune in to this stream to check out what's new. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Test, are you also streaming this somewhere else? No, I'm currently only streaming to YouTube. I did stream to, what's this? Twitch, yeah, Twitch, yeah, boomer. I've been streaming to Twitch, but I don't really have a community on Twitch, so I use the YouTube community. Hello, just getting into React Native, looking forward to the stream. Oh yeah, that's a good time to get into React Native for sure. Nigeria is strong. 2 people from Nigeria. Welcome to the stream, and good afternoon, I guess, to Nigeria. Have you already used the latest features? Blind Ray is in the house. Welcome back, Blind Ray. Actually, before starting the stream, I was thinking about, in the past, I had 2 introductions. So the very classic introduction was, hey everyone, what's up? This is Simon, yada yada yada. Then we moved on to the Simonics. So it was, what's up Simonics, and welcome back, which was quite, let's say, it was quite an iconic welcome. So the Ionic team always told me I have to do everything with it. Now, I don't really feel very comfortable with the Simonics anymore. I feel it's so centered on me and my name. So I don't know. I think we need a new community name, but I don't know what, like the galaxies, it doesn't sound well. The galactic, like something galactical, Star Wars related, I don't know. We really need to do like a little if you got something, please leave something in the chat, let me know. Meanwhile, welcome to Nigeria afternoon. Indonesia, yay! China, Bosnia. Okay, so everyone in that part of the world is awake. Looks like nobody from the US and from South or Middle America is awake. Captain Code, yeah, well, best case, Blind Ray, it works with what's up. What's up, Simon? What's up, cool people? What's up? I don't know. We need to figure this out later in this stream. All right, let's get into some code. Let's do this. So Expo SDK 49. Oh, yeah, and the funny conversation. Yeah, we'll get back to that in a second, because maybe there's going to be something more to that conversation in a second. For now, we will just try and enjoy Expo. So let's create a new application, and then I can show you some of the cool stuff that's included. So to set up a new app, here we can go with npx create expo app latest -- template blank and then SDK 49, or we can replace this with tabs to get the latest tabs or a package with Expo Router. So I want to do that. npx create expo app latest. I'm gonna call this new app and -- template tabs at 49. So this will give us everything, basically everything that's possible with Expo SDK 49 and the new Expo Router. Hello from Nepal, Australia, Algeria. Really, nobody from the other part of that. But anyway, welcome. Glad to have you all on board. If you enjoy React Native, I'm happy that you're here. By the way, one thing up front, I talked to someone last week who said, yeah, because you're doing React Native, I feel the urge to also get into React Native. I just want to say, you don't have to follow everything that I do. And just because I do React Native, it doesn't mean like this is the best thing now and I'm moving away from Ionic. If you watch closely on this channel, you will also see a lot of Ionic content. So it's just that React Native has different strengths and I'm just trying to use all the different tools. That's also why I gave Flutter a try. So it's not that you instantly have to move to Ionic React or React Native now. It's just another option and it's great to know about it. So my app is ready. What did I call this? I think I called this one My App. So that song doesn't sound good in my sound system here. Okay, that's probably a bit too small for you. So we should make this a bit bigger and zoom into this. Zoom for you, gonna do the 5 today. Yes, the biggest zoom on earth. Okay, let's directly start this app. No, this is not my app. This is, there was a Svelte app. What was that? How did I call this app? New app. Oh yeah, close enough. Yeah, sorry for the naming confusion. This is the app I wanted to open. To run your project, nothing really changed. Only thing is you can just run npx expo. You don't have to say npx expo start. And then I'm gonna go with I for the iOS simulator. And we can also go straight to the W, in case this is not like lagging or something. We can go straight to W to also see the web preview, because this is really interesting. Something is lagging here. I feel like my system has some problems. So we're gonna figure this out. Is the stream fine for you? Let me know in the chat if everything is fine. But overall it looks good. Okay, here is a new app with the latest Expo SDK. Let's start with the first thing. Everything's fine? Okay, David, thanks, that's good, good. If you check out an app like this, you're gonna see we have an app folder which has the file-based routing. So I talked about this in the other videos, go check them out, how you do like a tabs interface, a drawer, or anything else. It's all about files now. We're gonna use a few of them in a second when we get into the router. Besides that, what's pretty cool is, no, let's do this later. Besides that, we got a components and constants folder, nothing too fancy. And we can change the app and we can open a modal, so that's the default. Now, let's talk about the new things. So the first category that's new is about debugging. So we can now get integrated network debugging, which is pretty cool. I mean, coming from web development, it's not like this is some crazy stuff and crazy new stuff, but still it's quite interesting that it now works very, very easily with React Native as it didn't do before. For this, let's get into the index file. So that should be tab 1. And let's just add a use effect in here. Okay. And in the use effect, I want to make a simple fetch request. So let's do this. So something fetching and then logging this. Now we can already see it comes in here. It gives me like one to do. The cool thing is that I can now press J, which opens my DevTools, and I can go to network. And let's see if I refresh the app. Then we should be able to see all the network requests just like in any kind of web application. And of course, here is the result. And also, of course, the logs are here. So here's my object. I don't have to rely on the command line. So this is pretty cool, and especially in network requests, I've used this in tons of times when I've been working with APIs. So debugging your application is always something that can either like cost you a lot of time, or if you're good at it, you can save a lot of time. And I'm completely down for everything that helps me to debug my applications faster, and especially with API calls or anything going on. Using the dev tools that I'm used to from web, and usually also React developers come from the web, it just totally makes sense to use this and makes life a lot easier. So press J, go to network, and then you can nicely debug all your API calls. On top of that, what's new is you can easily open the React DevTools with, I think, Shift M. Yeah, that allows us to select something. So I can now also start the React DevTools. So we are using the React DevTools, and we'll now open this. Can we zoom into this? Yeah, of course we can. Well, maybe that's a bit too much of zoom. So we can go into everything of our application. Looks quite interesting. Can be helpful, yes, certainly. It's just, again, better debugging, faster app building, and somewhat the tools I'm used to. So I couldn't be more happier about this. Like debugging network and console and React DevTools. It's just a perfect way, and I think this covers like 95% of the stuff that I need to debug. So this makes me really, really happy. Now, there's one more thing for people like us who like to debug with Visual Studio Code. So there's the Visual Studio Code extension for Expo, of course. If you go here, we got the Expo tools. So you should definitely install this if you're using Expo. And we can now also attach our debugger to the running Expo application by running Shift Command P Expo debug app on device or simulator using Hermes, which transforms Visual Studio Code now to have this yellow bar down here. So there it is. And let's see, we should be able to get, like, make a breakpoint here. Is this now a breakpoint? No. Is it now a breakpoint? I think so. I'm not connected. Why am I not connected? I should be connected. Oh, I should probably also save this, and let's try reload my app. Can we just do the breakpoint thing? No, this is not an Ionic app. I don't know why this is always bringing up the other dev tools. Oh no, I clicked something. No, I don't want to do that. Oh my! I just want to get back to my terminal. Where's my terminal? Come on, give me my terminal back. I don't want to debug an iOS app. Oh, goodness. Oh my goodness! I definitely clicked the wrong buttons here. Yeah, ignore. Yeah. Please just give me my console back. Can you just give me the terminal back? Terminal, there we go. I'm your friend, I'm your friend. So the debugging Visual Studio Code, it definitely did work. I've seen it work. I mean, yeah, it didn't work right out of the gate, but it used to work, and it's just the default that you're used to from here. So Expo debug on a device. Let's try. This should normally reload the application. I should not show that view. So what's this? I guess this is disconnect, right? This is pause. I don't know why it's not jumping into my application right now. Probably I'm doing something wrong, or I'm just in the wrong folder. But nonetheless, this will work, or that did work. It's just that Simon is an idiot and can't make it work right now. So this is the new thing about debugging with Expo 49. Then we could move into Expo Router, but I assume I'm going to spend a lot of time with Expo Router, so I'm going to put this to the end and move over it for a second for the other highlights and updates. So here's quite a lot in it. You don't have to read everything, although it's definitely recommended you check it out. What's new as well as EAS Insights. So I used the Expo application services before to build my application, which was quite interesting. And now they have a cool new Insights feature. I haven't tried it out yet because I don't have a production app running with EAS, but it looks really interesting. And I think it's going to be a really nice addition to the features of Expo. Also, Expo Build, of course, updated, added Xcode latest stuff, working with the latest React Native, making everything a bit faster, and EAS Update also improved. So those are like internal updates you don't really have to care about too much. What we probably want to care about is, so this is, everything. This is how you can upgrade. This is also pretty straightforward. Actually, it's kind of too easy. I think other React Native developers had a lot more pain updating their applications in general with React Native, but with Expo, it's usually very, very easy. So there's nothing else in it. Yeah, a few regressions and a few updates, but there are a few other random things that I picked up that I think are interesting in the latest SDK. So, of course, what's always great is improvements to the Expo SDK modules. I mean, we got tons of Expo SDK modules anyway, but some bug fixes are pretty cool, especially this one. So maybe you have used Expo Blur, maybe you have not, but it didn't really work on Android before, and now it supports Android. So this is a very good news because Expo Blur is really cool. You should definitely use it if you want to blur something, as it's using like the native blur stuff, not just using CSS blur or something else. Besides that, we also got local modules. Is this here? Yeah. So we recently introduced local modules, and this is quite cool. You can get started, try it out, npx create expo module dash local. Let me show you what it does. So I'm here in my Expo app. I'm just going to create the Expo module locally. What's the name? I'm just going to go with the default. So my module, native name, my module, Android package name, whatever, doesn't really matter. And then I have a modules folder here. And in here, I can just configure the native code. So we have the iOS and Android implementation. We have the API for the web. So there's just one hello function by default, but it's a nice starting point. And if you want to access some native functionality that's not yet included in the other Expo modules, you can simply now write your own stuff locally. And it's really a lot faster. So I don't have a lot of experience with it, but let's see how fast we can do something in it. So I could use ChatGPT, I guess, to say, hey, I want to do something with Swift. I want to like load the native context or something like that. Then I would get into this and write my functionality here in the Swift module. And this is here the function. So this returns hello world. I'm just gonna return hello live stream. Okay, so this is the point where I want to change something just to make sure that we're actually including this module in the way we should include it. Now, let's do a new page in my app. And now let's just do it on the index page because we're already here. And I'm just gonna add, instead of making the network request, we're gonna try and import our hello function. Does it pick it up? It picks it up immediately. This is so nice. This is really nice. It immediately knows that under modules, we got my own modules, and I can call the hello function. Can I also like const foo equals hello, and then I'm just gonna lock this out. And then I should probably run npx expo again because I added a module. Let's see, iOS editor updated. And hey Simon, can you add the blog post? Oh yes, definitely. What's new? Expo SDK 49 updates. Here we go. Sorry about that. Welcome Education Fire, and sorry David, totally missed that. Thank you for reminding me. So the Expo Go app quit on my phone. I think I totally messed this up. npx expo start -- clear. Should still work. Let's try. So nonetheless, this was already pretty easy to set up. Like the local module, we started with the npx command and now it's already here. That's almost too easy. So I can click into it and I would be right here. Additionally, we should also be able to use the new alias imports. Yes, we are. The only thing is that this is not picking up my native module. So that's interesting. Oh, no route named index exists in nested children too. I didn't do that. I didn't do anything about that stuff. Oh, tons of errors. That's what you want to see. Layout children, no route name, index exists. I would say there is an index file. Oh, there's no index at the top level. Did I just like drag this somewhere while I clicked here constantly? Did I do this? No, I didn't. I don't think so. Anyway, it's cool that nothing that I want to show you works today and that this warning now comes up. I cannot find module, my module. In fact, I didn't call it like that, so there was a certain step, I assume, that I took to call it. And Expo modules, my module, Android, iOS, my module. I assume we have some caching issue here because this definitely worked. But you can see from the types generated and everything that we've definitely included it. I don't know what exactly I messed up, but I will certainly make a video about this. So if you're interested in how you can create your own native modules with Expo, or just you create a local module, leave a comment in the chat, or if you're watching this afterwards, you can also just leave a comment below the video. So this is pretty cool as well. And the third thing that I found very interesting is the usage of, let's see, can we finally use our application again? Yeah, we can. Is the usage of an environment file. So we can now just have a .env file here. And we're gonna call this Expo public, I don't know, API URL. And that's gonna be API Expo or galaxies.dev. By the way, have I told you that I have an online school called galaxies.dev in which I do mostly React Native content? No? Well, then you should certainly check it out at galaxies.dev. I added a lot of new courses lately about getting started with React Native and Expo. The latest course I've been working on, which is almost finished, is working with APIs, authentication, and 10-stack query. So this is going to be a big course, but we also have other courses about mastering navigation, using Expo Router with Firebase, and upcoming a lot of courses about features like notification, SQLite, or React Native with Tamagui. So go check out galaxies.dev. You will need a pro subscription for the courses, but this is becoming the hub for all React Native courses and content and the best and the latest stuff you can find out there. Back to our application and the environment variable. So the Expo public URL in my environment, I will have to restart this once again. And then if you run it, you will immediately see that it's loading your env file and it's exporting the public API URL. Now, a word of caution on this. The env file in your Expo project is not like an env file in a server, simply because at some point, the values you're using from that environment file will be bundled into your application. So if you ship it for the web or if you create an application, somewhere in the application, you're using the env file and the strings from it. So it will definitely end up in your bundle. And if you have like a secret key to something, you certainly don't want to put it there. So just a word of warning here. But otherwise, it's pretty cool as you can manage your environment files. You don't have to commit this to GitHub and all the cool things that you get as a bonus by using an environment file. If you want to see how to use it, simply go here. And we're going to grab this from process.env is it just API URL or is it Expo? I think there is. Why do you constantly disconnect, by the way? That's very rude. But I think it's just process.env. The name, but API URL is certainly not the name. The name was Expo public API URL. Yep, and then we see it. Here's the log. So we're able to access this from the environment file. Thank you, Nick, for $2, and thanks to... Yeah, thanks to Nick. I thought that was a subscription as well. Anyway, thank you, Nick. You're very welcome. Besides that, okay, we touched the SDK improvements. We touched the local modules, which Simon somehow messed up. We touched the environment variables. I think it's time to talk about Expo Router version 2. I'm a big fan of that router. I've used it from the starting point. I use the file-based routing because I think it just feels very natural, like you're not randomly routing around. It goes like your app a little bit of a missing structure. Some people dislike it. That's okay. You can always go back to the underlying React navigation if you don't like it. But I clearly like it, especially for one reason. The reason I like it is that Expo is advancing a lot into like universal React Native, which means React Native not only for iOS and Android, but also for the web. And if we're talking about the web, file-based routing is the standard. Like, look at Next.js, look at SvelteKit, and look at other stuff. It's just the standard. And therefore, embracing this totally makes sense if we want to build universal applications. If you say, I only want to build an iOS and Android application, and I have no interest at all in web, then yeah, maybe it's not super helpful for you, but hear me out. There are actually still benefits that you can get even for native applications by opting into file-based routing, especially stuff like deep links, directly jumping into a specific page of your application, Apple handoff. There are a lot of cool things that you can implement with this file-based routing, and let's talk about a few of them. So if you check out the release post, there's just a quick note about what's new. So there's actually another article. I'm gonna link this. The Expo Router version 2 article is here. Very important, had to drink some coffee before getting into this. So we got handoff, we got Expo head and SEO. We got first-class styling, we got file-based routing and deep links, we got static routes, async routes, and typed routes. Now, that's a lot to unwrap. Let's start with typed routes. If I now add a new route to my application, let's say at the top level, I'm gonna have a new file that I'm gonna call simon.tsx. That will be a React Native functional something, page, whatever. Doesn't really matter too much. Is this in a stack? If we check out the layout file, yeah, that's a stack. So we will get by default a stack. If I now want to navigate to that page, let's do this from our first page. I will add a link here from the Expo Router to. And now this happens, did we add this? Oh yeah, it's not 2, it's actually href. I always mix this up. And now this is the really cool thing. It shows me automatically all the routes of my project, and we're gonna see eventually Simon is here as well. So I honestly, it's not like this is magic or something. I know there's TypeScript in the background, everything works, but the speed of like how this works, I think it's still pretty cool. You can check this out. So Expo has like a hidden folder here, and if you check out the types, you would now see that we have some static routes and that automatically updated and added my Simon entry. So whenever I add a page, I guess they're just adding a static route, and then they're doing the magic here internally to provide that information to my page so I can safely navigate there. If I use something else, will it, by the way, complain? No, that validation doesn't. I actually thought I had seen something complain about this before, but nonetheless, type routes. I wouldn't call it a game changer, but pretty epic still. Okay, aliased imports. I actually don't know if this was a feature of the Expo Router or just of the Expo SDK, but you've seen this a second before. Aliased imports means you don't have to say component edit screen, but rather having it like this. Again, nothing completely crazy and completely new. We've seen this in other places. It's just about tsconfig and configuring the path. So at the top level, you could also call this like Simon, and then you could use Simon something in all the places if you want to, but this totally makes sense. So alias imports, just another thing that's really helpful for your application. David says, Expo Router is the reason we love React Native, allowed us to use our React knowledge to quickly build our mobile app. We love it. Yeah, 100% agree. Definitely agree. So, type routes, alias imports, pretty cool. Now, let's get into a more nifty category, which is web. So, as I said, let's close this. It's pretty cool how Expo already works on the web now. So React Native web. I know it still feels strange, like we went from React to React Native and now we going from React Native to the web again. I don't know if we at any point in the future find a middle ground between this, but anyway. The output from React Native for web with Expo and file-based routing is just great. Like we have the URLs. It makes so much sense in this case to have this navigation. But one thing you usually don't have in this kind of app is good SEO. If you're like you have dynamic routes or everything is like a single page application. But there is now a cool head tag. Actually, if we check out the default here, we're gonna see this already. So they have like an HTML file at the top level. You can have some general information about your page in here, but that's not what I want to show you. This is just general information that you can supply for your application in case you want to have something for the web. But if, for example, on my Simon page, I now want to have a head element which defines some SEO data, I can now add the head element, and the head element should come, yeah, thanks for nothing, from the Expo Router /head. And within the head tag, I could say something like the title, this is Simon's cool page, or I could say meta name description, Simon's cool page. How can we check that this exists? Well, in the native application, that's not really relevant. But in my web application, let's go to the Simon page. Let's check out the elements. Let's check out the head area. And we're gonna see title Simon's page in here and also description Simon's cool page. So in terms of building a website, you usually want to think about SEO, and this stuff is just a requirement to have good SEO in place. And as you see, you just include a head tag for one of your pages, and then you got the head information in there. But now you may ask, how do I deploy this actually? Well, there's a static export that we can trigger for our application. So this would be the next thing, the static export. The command for the static export was, let me look it up. So we got type routes, we got aliased, we got static routes, npx expo export here. Let's see, npx expo export. And this will basically do what a web application does to build your application. It will create a dist folder, and within the dist folder, there will be assets, there's the JavaScript bundle, but there will also be static files. At least I hope they will be. So let's wait until this is finished for a second. It's always so sad when your coffee mug is empty. But we don't have to be sad for long because we have our Expo app for the web now. And we can also continue reading. So all of this is done. We don't really need to configure this. But we can now also run another command. Oh yeah, this is what I actually wanted to run. I'm sorry about this. Let's kill this. Let's run it again. Should be faster. Because we just want to do this for one thing. And then you can run npx serve dist. You can also just use the simple HTTP server. Okay, this is not doing anything faster than I did before. We already have our web bundle. You can also include a public folder. If you have a public folder, it would just be bundled in here. And there we go. npx serve dist. So here is my static page with everything we had before. And you might know this, if you have something like this, whenever I see a static page, I just know the sky's the limit from here. I can put this into any kind of hosting, it will usually just work. Yes, you might have to configure some kind of adapter stuff here and there, but I could probably just put this dist folder into Vercel. Do we want to try this? Usually this works pretty flawless. Let's check this out. So I'm gonna go to Netlify. I'm gonna try and drop my dist folder in this. This is of course not working. So let's open my app. And there's the dist folder. No, it was not my app, it was new app. Thanks for the reminder. So what if I put this into Netlify? I haven't done this before, so I honestly don't know if this will work. This is just a try. Skipped, complete. Site overview should be deployed. Yep, here we go. My Expo app immediately deployed on the web. Like, this is pretty cool stuff. It's not like we can't do this with Ionic or something else, but anyway, we get the app, and I think if we look into the body, again, all my meter information would be included, including the description. So the static export and the routes, it just makes a lot of sense with the Expo file-based routing. So if you want to host your React Native application for the web as well, we have this cool static export here. We can of course check the file, you can change something, but of course that's usually not recommended to change something in here. By the way, oh yeah, there at the top is my viewport. Isn't that my description included at the top in the meta information? Expo viewport fit, I can't see it right now. I don't know where this is exactly hidden. Anyway, that's pretty cool as well. I also tried to make this work with dynamic routes. So if you have a folder like tutorials, or let's call this to post, and then you do a new file, id.tsx, you can usually get the information for that file. And you can also define a function to generate. So let me give you an example. I'm gonna bring in a bit of code here. So for these dynamic routes, it's of course hard to statically generate the HTML output. Like how many pages do you want? What's their name? So in most frameworks, you're gonna find something like generate static params function that you define, which iterates some kind of data source. So I made up a simple data source here. I'm gonna add this simple data source with just 100 entries. It's just like random stuff from an API. And my standard static path will iterate that and return the information. Now, the thing that I haven't been able to correctly figure out is how to use the ID. So I talked to Evan, who's like the creator of the router, and he said, yeah, just don't. Just don't yet. He's working on a fix. So on the Expo page, you're gonna find something like const id equals use local search params. However, that's gonna complain a lot because the type ID does not exist, so it's some TypeScript issue. So I'm gonna leave this out for now. I will just return something like view and then text post something. So usually you would have the ID and then more options here. So if I know, I'm gonna run npx expo by the way again. If I now trigger my static export, so if I run export platform web, we should hopefully see that in the dist folder, we have a ton of pages under post, because the export command will go through this function, we'll call generate static params. Then we say, okay, we got like 100 different IDs, and then Expo saying, okay, cool, let's create 100 different pages. So, yep, here we go. This is my export with all the pages statically generated. So if you need, or if you have dynamic pages and you want to plug in some kind of data source, then generate static params works pretty cool. Additionally, we should be able to just have like a public folder up here. And if I have a public folder, I think I can just throw in an image of myself. And I'm gonna run this again. And I think this should just, yeah, the public stuff just ends up here in my folder as well, which means I can just access those files at the top level of my application. Cool. Just two last things that I want to talk about, which is CSS styling and deep linking. So we've seen this page, and we can now also super easily include any kind of general CSS. For this, let's create a new folder, styles. I'm gonna do what they did. I'm gonna do a module. So post.module.css. Now let me bring in some styling. So I'm gonna call this the container styling for my post. Now I maybe just wanna use this when I run on the web. So everything on the web is centered. And I can now conditionally also apply this here. So let's say if the platform is web, then I'm gonna do something, otherwise I'm gonna return this. So on the web, I will return a simple div element with class name to, what was the class? Container? Yeah, I think container. But I don't really wanna do this. I will combine this with a text element, my web post. So this is going to be interesting. I'm going to run the export again. Now, actually, in fact, we don't have to run the export. We can just open our preview. So here's my app. If I go to the Simon page, it's just the page. Is this still the page? I want to go to the post page. Yeah. Thanks for catching that. Whoever said this. Oh, it was nobody. Welcome, Andre. Welcome to the stream. Gonna add another link to post 42 or 41, open post. So let's check. Yeah, I've been restarting this quite often, but okay, here we go. In my native app, it shows post. Is this what we wanted to do? Yes, we wanted to have the post element. If I now check it out on the web preview, let's see, I go to open post and it shows my web post. But it doesn't have the styling, so I messed up at some point. Otherwise it would have the container styling. Yeah, we probably, we should probably import the styles. But we do, yeah, oh yeah. I'm sorry, class name, of course, it works differently. My bad. We of course have to use styles.container. But if I do this, Where is my preview? Then this was the hosted version. This is my other information. Where's my web preview? Here? No. Where's my web preview? Hello? Who stole my preview? There. Ah, goodness. That was a hard way to get there. So that means we're just a lot more flexible in terms of creating a universal layout. And I want to do a bit more with Tamagui over the next time as well. Because I think this is, how can I also style the text element now? Text, what is text? No, it's font size. No, this can't work like, yeah, no, this is not how it works. This is not CSS what we're using, so we should have used something else. But we have the nice separation between, we can just use native stuff like native components. Where was the page? Native components if we run on a native platform, or if we run on the web, we can do something with CSS. Just any kind of CSS should work. And again, making our Expo React Native apps a lot more universal. Now, the last thing about deep links is something I don't want to implement right now because this will likely take more time. Again, you can find all the information here, all the information about CSS. Async routes is something that should make the bundling of your application during development a bit easier. Honestly, I haven't used it yet because just my apps were too small and anyway couldn't really find or see a difference. But with universal linking, we are able to achieve something like this, that on a website, we can have this nice head tag for iOS, which allows us to show this little, hey, there's also an app that you can install, or as well, the whole topic of deep linking or universal links, but that requires a bit more setup. So in those cases, you have to configure Apple, you have to upload the Apple App Site Association file to your hosting, but then the part of your app is actually pretty easy if you're using Expo Router, and you can pretty much just jump into the right page of your application if you use the Expo Router. This is what I said before, sorry if it's too small. The Apple Smart Banner is something that you can easily integrate now as well, promoting apps within Safari. So honestly, I don't use Safari on my iOS device, but of course, this is a great way to promote your application on a page, and you can just include this by having your iTunes ID right here in the meta information in the plus HTML file of your Expo project. Deep links on Android, again, requires some setup as you have the asset links file that you need to put into your hosting. So I can't really show you this immediately, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a tutorial about this in the near future, as this is somewhat complicated process, but the result is pretty epic. Or I might do a full course about this on, check it out, galaxies.dev. We're gonna find a lot more about React Native over the next time. So that's basically all we have. Quick recap, Expo SDK 49. We have improved debugging, which means you can easily inspect your networking calls. You can use the React Dev tools. You can debug from Visual Studio Code. So a lot of improvements to debugging. We had the EAS updates. In case you're using EAS, everything should be faster and better, and you also get the EAS insights for your application. Then we also had like the random updates, improvements to the SDKs. We had local modules which we can generate. We had environment variables which we can easily add. And also a few more other things related to the Expo Go client, the dev client. You can find all of this in the blog post from the Expo team. And finally, we have Expo Router version 2. I've shown you most of the cool stuff, typed routes, alias imports, the head tag and SEO, static imports, get static params, CSS, deep links. Like this release, like it's not feeling like 49. It feels like version 2 after having version 1 for 5 years. I really think this is a great release, and I'm super excited to see what's next for Expo. but with what we got right here, it's just fun for me to create applications with React Native and Expo. And as I said in a previous video, I don't really see any reason to not use Expo, to not start with Expo. You can still opt out of Expo. You can use Expo pre-built. You can have your own modules. Like, I don't know what you want, but most of the stuff, like, you can figure it out and make it work with Expo, even if you run into trouble. And especially for all beginners, please just get started with Expo. It's a whole lot easier than just using the React Native CLI. So that's everything for what I prepared today. Again, if you want to support me, galaxies.dev is the place where you can find all the good stuff that I work on behind the scenes. And now I'm open to questions. I feel like that was like a presentation. And it wasn't really my intention to make it like a presentation, but I really wanted to cover the topics. So, hey Ray, yeah, great to be back. Great that I'm back, or great that you're back. By the way, Ray, we wanted to do a podcast episode with Ray. So for everyone, I've been running all the code podcast with Simon Barker for a year and a half, but we decided to stop it for now. But behind the scenes, I'm maybe working on my own podcast. I haven't recorded anything, but I'm trying to figure out who I want to bring on, who I want to talk to, what's it about, what's the name, what's the description, like all the stuff that goes into this. And I'm fairly advanced already. So it's July right now. I hope that maybe in like August, I have something to show you. So then we might have the Galaxy Simon podcast where I talk to cool people about app development topics again. Andre, thank you for all your tutorials, also for doing it your way. I'm currently only in Angular, but looking also at the other stuff. Yeah, I'm just doing my style. I know that it's been somewhat challenging with this channel because traditionally it was like 5 or 8 years just Angular content on this channel. It was mostly Angular and Ionic, and then I added some web stuff and tried out different styles, and now I arrived at React Native because I feel like the opening up to all things web was a bit too broad. The focus wasn't really clear, and I kind of lost you there. And focusing back on React Native feels more like this is my land. Like, I know about building websites and building cross-platform applications and what's cool about iOS and Android and what's important about apps, and React Native just plays directly into this. It's just a different form than Capacitor or iOS to build native apps. So for me, it feels very natural to include React Native in my message to you as well. There is Ernesto, here it is, he is. I would never try React Native without your guidance. Thanks for all you're doing. Yeah, as I said, nobody has to use React Native just because I say so. But if you're open to it, I think there's a lot to gain. Even if you don't end up using it in your company or for your application, it's just nice to know what's out there, why people enjoy it so much. Because I really think Expo is great, and what the Expo team is doing is really awesome. So you might not like the approach of React Native. That's totally fine. In fact, this brings me to something I hinted in the beginning. David, is it production ready, SDK 49? Yes, SDK 49 is totally fine. You can use it. Taranvir, Simon, any ChatGPT related chatbot you have built in Ionic? Not really. I think we had like a live stream and a video where we used the OpenAI APIs. But besides there's a course on Galaxies or in the Academy where we do something similar. But what exactly is a chatbot? Is it just using the OpenAI APIs, or because otherwise backend functionality is not included in Ionic. Ionic is just the front end and the UI. Another David, hello from Abuja, Nigeria. I'm really like, what's going on? I know Nigeria is like the technology hub or something. I've seen this a lot of times before. So welcome to everyone again from Nigeria. This is exciting, officially joining the React Native bandwagon. Woohoo! David, let the Expo team know that I brought you to Expo and React Native. That makes me happy. Yes, using OpenAI APIs. Yeah, maybe we're gonna do this again in a future live stream. We checked out OpenAI in the past, but a few things have changed. So maybe we can do another cool chatbot thing in the future. So this now brings me to an interesting conversation post. I don't know what to call this. So here we go. So Martin said something. I'm working hard lately on a big freelance mission. We are moving 2 million users Expo app to Capacitor.js. In itself, no problem, but there were a lot of comments. A lot is going on under this post because people are asking why, and especially Evan jumped into this. So, and also at some point I saw that Max Lynch left a comment, so that got me really interested in the conversation. So basically, Evan was playing a bit of a troll in here. So you're migrating from a native app to a mobile website that requires an App Store review. I mean, I played the Angular versus React game for some time. It's fun. I kind of know why he's doing it, but he doesn't really have to. Max was kind of honest. You could not be more of a troll. You know better than to reply with this nonsense. I kind of agree with Max to some degree in here. Then Evan said, I just used Ionic yesterday. The views weren't native and the JS was running on device. It's simply dishonest to call Ionic native. Yes, from that perspective, like he describes it, it wouldn't make sense, but Ionic also never really said they are native. Capacitor is doing native stuff, but Ionic itself isn't. Like, this is HTML and CSS. There's nothing really native about it. I once again agree to the last sentence. Max says, I don't go acting like a troll when people pick Expo. Every tool has strengths and weaknesses. And I think this is what we should agree on. So maybe Evan just had a bad day. Maybe he wanted to push out Expo a bit more. I think they don't have to. Expo already has a great market share and it's just the trends are just going up. So I think we can all be friendly. Just because one app is going from Expo to Capacitor for whatever reason, it won't change the trajectory of React Native, Expo, and Capacitor. But yeah, I don't know what to make. Think of this whatever you want. I'm certainly more of the, let's say, I like positivity and being friendly. And yes, as I said, I might have bashed React in the past for whatever or made a little fun, but that was never really serious. So I think there's a reason why people use React or Angular or OCaml or Go or something. And that's totally fine. Sometimes people pick the wrong framework or the wrong stack for a project. That can happen as well, definitely. But most of the time in today's world, like all the frameworks and everything, oh my god, everything is really sophisticated at this point. And I feel like it's really hard to build a shitty project, app, website, whatever it might be. Yes, if you have like 10 million users at some point and your app doesn't scale very well and you use the wrong technology and now you can't scale from Firebase to your own API, yeah, well then you made bad architecture choices in the beginning. But overall, yeah, this has been my rant about frameworks, languages, platforms, something. So if some app is migrating from Expo to Capacitor, then so be it. There will probably also be apps which migrate from Capacitor to Flutter or from Flutter to Expo or whatever. Usually that sort of migration isn't very helpful. Like, I don't know if people will really gain that much from switching between the platforms. If there's a 2 million users platform, then maybe they have some serious reasons. But otherwise, in most cases, you can just go with the solution you picked and play it out. Okay, enough of the rant. Pick the framework or the tool that you like. I like both. I like Expo and React Native, and I like Ionic with Capacitor. I even like Flutter, to be honest. So pick whatever you prefer. But on this channel, you will mainly find Ionic Capacitor or General Capacitor and now also React Native. So subscribe to the channel if you watched this video and if you are new to this channel, because there will be weekly videos as always about both topics. Last question, Ernesto, will you migrate your existing Ionic apps to React Native? no, I don't see a reason. They work well with Ionic, and to be honest, I also don't really have a lot of successful applications. I just have this calorie tracker, which is called Quick Track. I think I made this with Ionic React. I have the ChatGPT app, like with the Dream Bedtime Story, which I did with React Native. I've been under the hood working on a Flutter project. On client projects, I use whatever they prefer. So no, I'm not migrating. Also, Simon, are you a contributor to the Capacitor project on GitHub? No, I'm not. I'm not a contributor to either, not to Capacitor or to Ionic. Now you might say, oh Simon, but you're so big in the Ionic community, why are you not doing something? I think my role in the Ionic ecosystem is more of being a teacher and supporter of the community, and I think other people are better at bug fixing, implementing new features, fixing stuff in GitHub. So I think we all have some strengths and weaknesses, and probably my strength isn't in contributing to the GitHub repository. And to be honest, I just don't have the time to do anything like that. So I focus really on providing tutorials, free material, or my paid courses to people. And yes, I asked myself the question as well in the past, like, should I be as well a contributor? But I'm fine. Like, I'm fine with just helping people, and I think other people are better at doing something else. So doing YouTube, doing live stream, doing videos just comes naturally to me. And I think I heard this before in the podcast. You should do the things that feel really easy to you, that look like work to others. And I know others are saying, you record a whole course in a day. I couldn't do this. It takes me a week. And I'm like, no, it's easy. It's fun. Like, just structure it and go through it. So I really have fun doing videos, and this is like my superpower that I enjoy. And I'm pretty sure others have a superpower of creating awesome features, implementing stuff, and contributing to open source. More questions. I wanted to end this, but could you please make a tutorial on how to do RX Google login? Thanks for the video demonstration, Firebase login. Yeah, Google login. Yeah, I think that's on my list, Percy. Email me when you would do something, Ray. Yes, I will. Ruben, please do Ionic Capacitor app out with Azure. Oh, I have never used Azure. That's going to be very hard. And finally, you're already doing great, Simon. Really love your blogs and courses. Thank you, Tara and Vera. I hope that answered the question. So if you feel pressure to do something, just focus on what you're really good at and keep doing that. So I think those were nice last words for the stream today. I hope to be back next week. I honestly don't know what we're doing. Maybe a React Native project, or maybe another cool Ionic project. I got some cool ideas for stuff that we can do. So watch out. Stay subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you get notified when I go live. And then I will hopefully catch you next week. And of course, if you're not subscribed to the channel, do so, and check out Galaxies and check out the Ionic Academy, and check out everything else that I do if you want to support me. So thanks for your time. Hope you enjoyed the overview about Expo SDK 49. If you know Start with Expo, let them know, or post this video on Twitter and share the stream afterwards so other people can see it as well. And I will catch you in the next one. And please let me know if you got an idea for the name of this community. The Galactics, the Galaxies, the Unnatural Coders. I don't know. We're going to figure something out. I'm going to make some recommendations next week. And until then, of course, as always, happy coding.